Chapter 15. Undead groans grated through the air behind Ada's short-winded breath. A million different curses in as many languages as she knew ran in circles across her mind. Having to abandon Annette's tracks, leading her deeper into the city's sewage system, wasn't a decision she particularly cared for. Booming stomps chasing after her down a crisp, stony hallway weren't exactly welcomed with a happy smile either. Ada snarled, then fidgeted with the holster on her waist when she came face to face with a large, spinning ventilation fan. Her ears perked up when she heard what sounded like a premature victory chuckle rumble from her pursuer's chest as she warmed up her nifty EMF visualizer, a device capable of revealing and manipulating electromotive currents. As soon as it beeped alive, she overwhelmed the fan's motor with an excess of energy. Short sparks and blades spun out of control before bursting into a cloud of black smoke. Ada's slim physique slithered to freedom through a crack and landed beautifully on top of concrete floors 7 feet below. She pushed forward through dusty hallways, ignoring the faint, heavy footsteps searching for another way to find her, before eventually tapping her heels along a long aluminum bridge in the middle of a water treatment room. Under the brown-eyed woman's path, a superabundant river of brown fecal water rushed along the subterranean complex, eager to become clean water for the town above. Ada was just about to catch her breath when a series of blaring white lights came on from the ceiling and blurred her vision. Once her eyes adjusted, she looked up to find Annette, hovering over a control panel, staring down at her through a thick pane of glass.
Don't make me. Don't make me.
Enough with this cat and mouse game.
Ada called to her prey. Annette replied through a microphone. The game is over. You lost. She pressed a button, unleashing her new weapon of choice. As the product of talented engineers whirred to life around Ada, she pushed the little sandy-colored rodent's own buttons. Tell me, is your husband still alive? Or did you kill him so you could take credit for G? Huh, interesting theory. But I guess there's a reason why I'm the scientist and you are what you are. Annette smirked at Ada's twitchy, bothered brow as she masterfully turned a dial. An enormous industrial press rose higher a few feet away from Miss Wong. She balled up her fists frustratingly. If you don't cooperate, I can always get a sample from the nest. Dr. Birkin readied her machine and spoke into the mic one last time. Then you better get moving. Preferably back to whatever shitty den you call home. With firm biceps and a grunt, She thrusted the final lever into position, making the press slam onto Ada's bridge. A simple flick of a switch later, and Annette successfully removed her death trap across the aluminum path. She watched the serpent below erratically attempt to find shelter for a moment, before leaving to find her husband and save their daughter. Whipping her head to the left, Ada's sharp eyes spotted an opening at the end of the bridge, and she immediately dashed towards it. The hammer practically kissed her heels before crashing into the opening of her escape, with unforgiving seismic momentum. Hard railing punched the FBI operative in the gut as she flew forward, but somehow, she managed to grab hold of the rusty bar with one hand to flip over the edge gracefully, pointed toes and all. Of course, all that effort and training became virtually useless, thanks to a single support screw breaking off the wall, creating a domino effect of unfortunate events. Ada fell for a few yards, then smashed onto a mountain of garbage below. A shard of steel the size of freshly sharpened Papermate pencils punctured her leg, its position concerningly close to a major artery. When she finally stopped rolling off the waste room's not-so-plush hill, the young woman grunted and tried removing the foreign object from her muscle. The piece was stubborn, and without enough medical supplies, or at least a tourniquet, she had no choice but to leave it inside. "Damn it!" she growled. "Where's Leon when I need him?" A large boom followed by an angry roar suddenly bellowed off the walls. Only a few moments had gone by before Ada passed out on the dirty floor, resembling a clumsy boa that fell from a tree.
Desperate pleas for Claire to reawaken were harshly stripped away, as your name unwillingly twisted and turned through pipes, vents, and walls. A few times they came very close to having their heads smacked by concrete. Each gust of wind past their ear, another reminder of their mortality. Tired, but determined arms struggled to release their stabbed left shoulder from the monster's bony thumb, even though they'd end up with a gaping hole and lethal amounts of blood loss. According to their thought process, though, anywhere else in this cesspool of shit had to be better than whatever this thing had planned for them. The wiggling your name's kidnapper felt against a slimy palm only encouraged him to tighten the grip he had around their beaten body. They cried out at the compression threatening to snap their spine, and fought to get away even more vigorously. All that pressure, however, came as a blessing in disguise, as a cylindrical, almost forgotten item poked your name in the tummy, like a friend nudging them with his elbow for their attention. They reached for the stun grenade as powerful mutant muscles smashed through another wall and into a smoky room, accessorized by a broken ventilation fan. He sniffed the air curiously, tucking the little human closer to his body in an uncharacteristically tender way. That is, until they sunk their teeth into his thick, beefy tissue. The creature roared in surprise as your name sunk their teeth in even further, resulting in the large captor finally shaking them off, and their body being flung across the room to smack face first into the fan. Safety bars clattered on the ground. Your name sputtered a bloody chunk of meat out of their mouth. Brushing off the blood trickling from their nose, they pulled out the pin from their last percussive weapon, then threw it back where they came from. Then, as they squirmed through the fan, a pathetic mule chimed behind them, before being cut off by a flash and faraway crash. Your name gracelessly plopped onto stony ground 7 feet below. Dusty walls surrounding them trembled as much as a Los Angeles hilltop home. When the short-lived earthquake stopped, they begrudgingly pulled themselves up by a wall to drag their black and blue body further down the green-tinted complex. Pained grunts slipped through their teeth at every step, finding the floor beneath their feet.
Ugh! Fucking hell.
They spat a mouthful of blood on the floor before abandoning their temporary crutch to push open a faded blue door, tumbling through it like a drunk until their knees found the rigid floor. They barely had time to catch themselves on their palms. Breathing in heavily through flared nostrils to flood oxygen into their brain, your name cradled their punctured shoulder and felt hot blood seep through their fingers. They slowly lifted their head, wondering why they cared so much about fighting on, when their blurred vision made contact with the mangled rectangular press ahead of them. They pondered the idea of climbing up the debris, formulating a way to use broken edges like makeshift climbing wall holds. Then, after careful consideration, they crawled forward on their hands and knees. Their forearms, biceps and thighs, tremoring uncontrollably by the time they reached their destination. Determinedly, your name gripped onto jagged metal, hoisting themselves up to reach the top of the steely mountain.
Almost there. Come on.
The toes of their foot dug into rickety scrap, just as a mass of anger and persistence rained down from a hole in the ceiling, its deafening entrance causing the young adult to slip and receive a new slice on the skin of their stomach.
Oh, God damn it.
Instantaneously, your name felt the weight of a kraken coil sharply around them, their already fragile lumbar spine breaking under pressure. As another scream shrilled across the room, a male voice trying desperately to be heard did the same.
Please stop me.
The brows on your name's sweaty forehead found enough energy to express confusion as a mighty hand raised them high above the ground. What? They breathed. William heaved deeply and looked up at the young person's face. He almost repeated himself before abruptly halting to blink in wonder. He stared deeply into this stranger's familiar eyes. The monster half of him lowered them to his level, then blocked off every pupil with a lid, allowing him permission to examine them closely. As your name shivered like a little leaf in late autumn, they watched the man surrender to a lamenting cry. His torture shining brightly through every crystal tear. Nearing the end end of his human life. Dr. William Birkin made a choice he could finally be proud of. One without the slightest hint of insecurity or doubt plaguing his every move. With great care, he cupped his kin's cheek and whispered,
You and Sherry are my most magnificent creations.
Yearning darted their irises between his. And although different in shade and shape, miraculously found their own. Bittersweet enlightenment pulled along the lower lash line. The other future that danced in your name's reflection. How beautiful was the life they almost lived. William brought them back to 1998 with the sound of his dwindling voice. The end of a tendril hovered over their heads.
Hey, listen to me. You don't have much time, but the virus will heal you. I swear it. As soon as you can. Find Dr. Annette Birkin's lab further underground in the nest. There, you can cure yourself using something called the devil vaccine.
For William, it was difficult not to notice the eye on his beast's right shoulder, opening to just a crack beside him. A merciful warning given the circumstances.
I'm sorry we couldn't have more time. And for everything I wasn't there for.
He looked down, waiting a moment to collect himself, and spoke in a cracked voice.
What did she name you?
Your name. Pride flooded the virologist's senses and brought a smile to his face. Knowing the name he suggested wasn't the one Maria picked made every star shine just a little bit brighter. She was right. His choice was super lame.
Your name.
He repeated.
Yeah.
Your name smirked.
Don't wear it out.
William couldn't stop himself from filling the air with a wheezy, hearty laugh, and yanked his little comedian closer to him for a tight squeeze. After reveling in each other's warmth for a few seconds, William stopped feeling his child's breath on his skin. His heart raced with panic at the revelation that your name had gone completely limp in his remaining human arm. Your name. Oh no, your name. Your name, please. Please. He looked to the yellow eye on his shoulder. Please. He wept. Save them. Please. Save them. Save them. Please. Please. I'm sorry. Please. As the sobbing father cradled the back of your name's head, his mutant's tendril pushed itself past their teeth to begin the virus's healing process. Steadily, a sour, chewy, quarter-sized embryo slipped down their esophagus, peeling off the sides like sticky hand toys on a wall, until it finally settled at the pit of their stomach. The appendage slid back out with a trail of slime, and it broke after separating enough from the host's lips. William brought his ear to their chest, listening for a heartbeat. When the beast resumed its control of his flesh. It carelessly threw your name into the waste room as if they never mattered more than a booger on its finger. Their body thumping along peaks of trash before the mutant turned to take its leave against its creator's wishes. He screamed for the monster to take him back, to let him check on them or see if they're awake. But no matter how hard he punched and scratched, the father would never get to know if he saved at least one life tonight. Your name's body landed in a dark corner, their weapons splaying out of their backpack across the garbage-littered floor. The butt of their rifle misfortunately smacked the back of a raven-colored copperhead. She obviously was not very pleased. What the Who? She spotted your name's body across the room. Son of a bitch, she mumbled. Better be dead.